Would you like to share with the rest of the class, Blake?
Oh, are we live? Okay, hello.
Yes, hence the 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two oceans. My name is Brian Engelman. That guy's Blake Walley. What is this?
What's what?
There we go. Let me mute that. That was wild. It's like we're in the metaverse. We had that playing on a YouTube channel, I suppose. Anyway, the point is today's Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. And this is the Agree to Disagree show on the new American media. Thank you for joining us. Follow us in all of the places. And I mean all the places, especially Rumble and X. Rumble, the new American media, X at American_media_ Blake is at TV's Blake Walley on X and thenextlevelnews.com. On today's episode, we're going to ask if you agree or disagree that Liz Cheney tampered with J6 witnesses in order to smear President Trump, President-elect Trump, actually former President Trump at the time. It's a little complicated, but we're going to ask, do you agree or disagree with that? Because she is under scrutiny. Agree or disagree that New Jersey drones are searching for nuclear materials? Agree or disagree that CNN staged a Syrian prison rescue for ratings and prestige? Remember Geraldo Rivera in the vault? Also, we're going to ask if you agree or disagree that Diddy blackmail tapes should be sold off in bidding wars. Yeah, we're hearing these rumblings. Agree or disagree that George Snuffleupagus lied about Trump rape allegations? Agree or disagree that Justin Trudeau should resign as Prime Minister of Canada? Agree or disagree that it's not important if Wisconsin school shooter is suffering from gender dysphoria disorder? And agree or disagree that White House officials should be charged over Biden's decline? All of these topics and more will be discussed on today's The Agree to Disagree show. Hello, Blake. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Brian. How are you?
Just living the dream, my man. Living the dream. Man, how'd your Vikings do this week?
Did well. Good one Monday Night Football game. It's against the Bears, but still got the job done.
The Bears. Yeah, I could have used a little bit more out of your running back, Aaron Jones, and a little bit more out of Justin Jefferson. But it's okay. I got eliminated in one league already. Well, we went against Jared Goff. Oh my gosh, he put up like 52 points for the Lions. So, I mean, good luck trying to get out of your own division, let alone out of your conference.
Too much luck in that fantasy football stuff. I gave it up years ago. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of aggravation.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, also, Blake has been a guest on our new program called Strictly Football. Myself and Mike Barra. We do a show once a week, every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, discussing football. And Blake has been a guest twice, I believe, twice.
Well, once I did a full show, and then once I did just a cameo.
A segment cameo, and then another full show. But yeah, his team's doing great, the Minnesota Vikings, And Mike's team is, they're in the hunt. They're right there, Seattle, with the Seahawks. They're right there in the AFC West. There's a whole bunch going on in that division. It's very close, but a lot like Baker and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's like win your division and you're in. And if you don't win your division, you probably won't even sniff the wild card. It depends how things shake out, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. Luckily, your team has a gargantuan record. What did you improve to? What are you, 13-2? 12-2. Yeah, they're fantastic this year. Congrats. I've always liked the Vikings. Robert Smith from Ohio State went and played there, so I rooted for him. Chris Carter from Ohio State, so I rooted for him. And Randy Moss, prayers to Randy Moss.
Number 26, number 80, and number 84.
There you go. Mind like a steel trap, this Blake Walley. What are you wearing there? Kids in the Hall t-shirt.
Yeah.
We always highlight the t-shirts that Blake wears in the thumbnail for today's show. Maybe pull up the thumbnail for today's show. But Kids in the Hall. Man, we did a skit back in high school. And we did a Kids in the Hall skit. And it was kind of like I think it was the staring contest. Like we kind of took an adaptation of that, and then we put all the I still don't even know where that VHS is. God, it was funny, but I never really watched the show. But my comedic partner, he watched the show all the time, so we kind of parodied off of that. Were you a big Kids in the Hall fan?
You missed out, Brian. Yeah, that was absolutely one of my favorite shows back in the day. I think it was either on HBO or Showtime. I can't remember for a time, and then it was just on circulation, syndication on Comedy Central for a really long time as well. So I've followed, and then they came out with a new random season a couple of years ago as middle-aged dudes on Amazon Prime. That was actually really funny. Yeah, no,
middle-aged dudes. What's it called?
What? Oh, it's still the Kids in the Hall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're still doing their sketch comedy thing. I don't know
if they're middle-aged dudes. And they also had Brain Candy. That was like way back in the day. That was a movie.
That was one of my favorite movies. It wasn't in theaters long, but I saw it twice in the theater, 2 weeks apart. I think it was one of the most underrated comedies ever. But I guess maybe people didn't get it. They were a little ahead of their curve, but fantastic movie.
Excellent.
Very influential. I was a huge fan.
I just anything comedy. I loved the Hot Shots. I loved Airplane. I loved all the sketch comedy, whether it was in Living Color. Man, when Fox.
How'd you miss Kids in the Hall then, Brian? What is your excuse there?
What network? What network was it on?
Comedy Central.
I didn't have cable, so that played a role.
Okay.
Yeah, I was one of those kids. So I spent a lot of time watching TV at my friends' houses. I was addicted to TV, but I mean, when you only had 5 channels, 7 channels, 8 channels, it's incomprehensible for somebody born into today's world to imagine. Wait, you mean I can't instantly snap my fingers and have everything at my disposal? It's like, no, man. You used to have to go find books. You'd be given book reports, and you'd have to go, who's this Dewey and why are we using decimals? No, man, it was weird. So yeah, it kind of escaped my radar because I didn't have cable for most of my childhood. Maybe originally when I was a kid. The funny thing is, Kenneth, HBO originally, I don't know, maybe. But I did have cable at some of the pay channels when I was an early kid. There was too much risque stuff my parents didn't want me exposed to, and it was too expensive. So then they cut it out. So for both reasons, I didn't have it right up until the ass end of high school. On my way out the door, I finally got cable right at the end. But all my developmental years, it's like if I had nothing to watch, I'd be like, oh, here's Night Court. Oh, here's Quantum Leap. Okay, here's Little House on the Prairie and Green Acres. I would find I'd usually gravitate toward comedies. But anyway, so yeah, it was not on my radar. I know they're good though, and they're funny. Okay. Kenneth is our resident Kid in the Hall. Kenneth in the Hall. There he is. He's Kenneth in the Hall.
Right.
We need more comics in our chat rooms giving us jokes all day. You can be our Kens in the Hall. Kens in the Hall. That's what we call it. Kens in the Hall. All right, Blake, let's get the news started, shall we? All right. Let's discuss kind of everything's taking a backseat to this story. A lot of Americans have felt on edge that the Democrats were a little too quiet. And what do you have? You got Ellen fleeing allegedly. You have Nancy Pelosi breaking her hip and staying overseas. And
I think they're making that up, Brian.
Huh? I'm making that up?
No. Do you think that they're making that up, that she didn't actually break her hip?
Did we cover it? When did that happen? Did we cover that on Thursday's show?
I think it was over the weekend, right? She fell down the stairs.
We need to do a weekend. I need to do a daily.
Okay, well, no, you said allegedly. So what is it? Is there a conspiracy theory that they're faking it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, and that powers that be are going to vacate. I am entertaining it as a possibility, and I'm trying to think it through. I haven't seen any X-rays. Is it on video? Do we see where she slips and falls? Do we see her going into the ambulance? Do we know any of this?
Okay.
Because who would be more guilty as sin for the multiple coups, the multiple efforts of treason? We're going to get to Liz Cheney in a moment. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, these people are at the very top of the list. So if Pelosi were to stage something and vacate to a non-extradition state, who knows? It's an interesting theory. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm not saying I've taken the time to, oh, look, there's this video clearly showing, and we know that she's legitimately there. I guess she was maybe flown to a base. Not entirely certain, but Trump said himself at a press conference, he's like, well, I'm not going to New Jersey. I'll cancel my trip to what is it, Bedminster? He has that golf club over there. And he's like, I had plans to go there. I'm not going there now. And he's like, they absolutely know what's going on in the skies. They can follow you into your garage. Are you kidding me? So, Blake, what is going on here? Are they setting up Project Bluebeam, as Kenneth is bringing up? And it's something that we've covered on the New American Media a trillion times. All you had to do was watch Coachella, where where Tupac was performing as a hologram on stage. And you're like, oh, they're going to shoot that in the sky and say, that's Muhammad over this continent. Oh, look, there's Jesus Christ. That's over that continent or this region of Israel. And then they're going to try to bring in some sort of coalescing event to turn it into one global governance under the powers that be that are shooting these holograms into the sky. So, Blake, there's a lot to unpack here, but let's start in New Jersey. What is going on? Are they searching for nuclear materials? Do you agree or disagree that it's most likely that these drones are searching for lost nukes? And I'll do air quote lost, because didn't the Democrats intentionally flood our country with 30 million illegal alien invaders? Take it away.
Well, I really don't know, and we're not getting any answers, so I can only speculate, of course. And that seems like a plausible explanation. I couldn't really tell you, but it seems like they're looking for something. I've kind of written off the idea that it's a staged alien invasion or if it's a hologram, but it certainly is a psyop, and that could be leading to that. That's always been one of their, something they've had in the playbook. Whether they're actually going to release it, maybe when they're really cornered, they could try it. But I think it's, the information's already out there. It's only going to fool, the low info people that are going to freak out about that stuff. But yeah, I think since they're acting like they don't know what it is, or maybe it's, it's Iran, there's a mothership off the eastern seaboard, not buying any of that. It could be a show of technology if it was, Russia or China or something. I don't think Iran would be ballsy enough to do something like that and try to get away with that. So I think it leads me to believe that the United States, it's probably our drones. They're, covering this up. They don't want to panic the public. And so far, the most plausible explanation that I have seen is that maybe they're looking for some sort of, nuclear material. Like maybe there's a dirty bomb, or somebody has, nuclear material. They can detect radiation or what have you. But it is freaking out the public. And maybe it's easier for them to just monitor things at night, and they can use like whatever thermal imaging or whatever they're testing for. I don't pretend to be that scientifically advanced to understand that what they're using. Like I know that they have stuff like that for like CAT scans and stuff like that, where they can see things inside the body. So if these drones could, swarm around that tri-state area, and particularly New Jersey, where they think maybe some nuclear materials got off and they're floating around somewhere and they're on the search, then that would make the most sense. That's why they're covering it up and pretending like they don't know what it is, when it's clearly that they are lying about knowing they have some advanced technology. So, Brian,
yeah. So there's another component. Are you familiar with Ezekiel's wheel?
Nope.
Well, it's written about, and it kind of looks sort of like this. Here's an artist's rendering of how it's explained in the Bible, in Ezekiel. And if you kind of compare that to this, I mean, it's a wheel spinning within a wheel. It's almost like you could see the person sitting inside of it, riding on a unicycle, pedaling, and it's got like that spinning component around. It's just interesting to think about. It's easy to write off stuff from books, especially old books that have been used to dominate over humanity for thousands of years, and perhaps manipulate, perhaps control, perhaps guide. But I mean, is it possible we've seen stuff like this in the stars before? Hell yeah, it's possible. Where do you think all these stories came from?
There's
Maybe they're sniffing for cow farts. What were you saying, Blake?
I was gonna say orbs. That's kind of been a thing that I've been seeing some of that they've been around for thousands of years, perhaps. But these are not orbs. They're people. They're definitely drones. Not that I've seen one, but I mean I think it's enough people out there pointing it out that they're about the size of cars. Some of them. So there's something odd. So it's advanced tech, and then it'd be weird that the United States is just acting like, oh, it's not a big deal, or they're just private, or they're just regular citizens like playing a prank. So no, I think they're searching for something, and they don't want to cause a panic. But
now let me ask this, because here's an angle that makes a little bit of sense to me. Okay. We've heard people talking about the Iron Dome over in the Middle East. It's been over a year now. They've been at war, and the Iron Dome has been tested. There have been successes. There have been failures. And a lot of people have mentioned that the United States needs its own Iron Dome, kind of protecting the borders. There's a theory out there that these are actually U.S. drones that are doing very specific mapping so that they can set up our version of an Iron Dome on the East Coast. I don't know if there's any validity to that, but there's been a lot of chatter about it being searching after lost nukes, Blake.
Right. My issue with the Iron Dome thing is that now it's a hypersonic missile world. So there's nothing to defend that. We're not going to be able to react in time to shoot missiles, Patriot missiles, or what have you. It's changing landscape, so I don't know if that would actually fly. But yeah, and it's also not really. I don't know if they can use the F-35 or any of this advanced aircraft. It's just not going to be able to compete with the modern drones these days that can just maneuver so much faster. Any pilot can possibly do. So yeah, it's a changing environment, but maybe that's right though, Brian. Maybe it could be some sort of reaction after Russia kind of demonstrated some power by blowing up some facilities there in the Ukraine with their, I think it's called the Oreshnik missile, which is a hypersonic missile that's almost like a meteor. It just boom. There's not even an explosion. It just turns everything into dust.
It's just like dropping spent carbon rods, like nuclear rods or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, after watching that, we might go, okay, but what about the fact that it essentially seems, and I don't see any Kamala Harris in our stack today. She gave a bit of a rambling pablum speech earlier. If we wanted to laugh at her, we could play it again. But it's just more of the same drunken nonsense. Whether she is drunk or not, it appears as though she is. It sounds like she is. That's me covering my Stephanopoulos ass. But we'll get to the Stephanopoulos story because ABC had to pay $15 million to Trump in defamation. But it seems as though Kamala's not around, Biden's nowhere to be found, and Trump is out there seemingly changing the world already. Donald Trump might have effectively toppled Justin Trudeau. Maybe we'll pivot off of that into Trudeau for a second, but with Trump not president, but acting president, but not technically president, how do you feel about just somebody being aware and alert of what's happening at this crucial moment with all this crazy shit in the sky? Because when they asked Trump, he's like, they know, of course they know. He's become the president. But we got to wait this ungodly 1, 2, 3 month stupid period while the fired people are in charge. How confident are you that we have effective self-defense in our military at this time of transition right now?
I'm sure that, that was kind of separate from just, political affiliation. So it's just in the name of national security. Certainly I don't trust some of the generals, nor do I trust Mayorkas or Kirby from the Pentagon. They're not going to tell us anything true. But yeah, it is also interesting, to see Trump is, taking over. It feels like he's already the president. We don't even know where Biden's at. That's another story in the stack. There is the latest sting by James O'Keefe operation, showing the turmoil inside the White House, and just not really knowing who the leadership actually is. Certainly, Biden can't be. He's not competent enough. So
then let's do that. Let's pivot over to that one, and we'll talk about Biden's decline. By the way, before we pivot off of this topic, I'll give you a chance to pull up the article, Blake. But Blake does a show every Tuesday. It's called Toxically Masculine Tuesday. Blake, you're gonna do the flex. There you go. With Mike Barra, Trail Boss Steve Dorn, and hold on, Dr. Brooks Agnew. It is the most insightful roundtable on the interwebs, something like that. 9:00 Eastern. Blake will be there. Just recap what you guys talked about on the last show. I know you're going to have more drone talk, but I don't know if you guys are in an additional thread where you bounce stories back and forth. Like, what is the consensus among these guys? Because they have, what are their qualifications again? Like they've worked in some of these fields.
Yeah, Mike was actually was a contractor, worked for NASA or contracts, aerospace engineer.
Mike Barrow was a NASA contractor.
Yeah, and Dr. Brooks Agnew, similar, quite a resume. So they know all kinds of things about that stuff. And they said they kind of ruled out the whole extraterrestrials. And if you watch that video, go back up, Brian. Says if you look at that, they all move in a straight line. You can watch them. They all move in a straight line, which kind of rules out the idea that they could be UFOs, which could, turn on a dime and go in different directions. But any little dot you look at all moves in exactly a straight line. So, yeah, that's the scientific analysis there from them. So I will take them at their word. And when you do look at it, you go, oh, okay, that is strange. It doesn't seem like it would be like some, extraterrestrial, intelligence or something that could be doing other kinds of things besides straight lines. So not sure.
But their response to it has been pretty strange. Vince is saying here, let me get this straight. The FBI can figure out if a grandparent took a selfie in the Capitol 4 years ago, but they can't figure out who was flying drones over New Jersey last weekend. It's the fact that they're lying to us. They're obviously lying to us. They're lying in our faces. They're treating us like we're morons. We do deserve a little bit better than that.
Well, do you want them to say, hey, we're looking for a nuke? There's something came in on a boat on the eastern seaboard. Might be in New Jersey. We're not really sure. Could be a dirty bomb. Should they tell? If that was you, Brian. Wait. If that
you asked me, I was going to answer. Good.
Yeah. Okay. So, what would you tell the public? Go.
That's what I was doing. You didn't.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay. And there's a little bit of a delay. Blake and I snip at each other all the time, but it's like we try to not leave dead air and we try not to cut each other off, but sometimes we can't help ourselves. And there's a delay. I would say this. I would say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. Ladies and germs. Thanks for joining me at this press conference today. These are American contracted air vessels. These are drones. These are U.S. technology that we are using. We are always looking for ways to increase our defense capabilities and to provide oversight to keep everybody in our country safe. So yeah, we're trying out some new stuff. You can see them in the skies. They're kind of cool. But like we're learning what they're capable of. We're just getting a feel for how to go up and down the coastline and just make sure we're protected here in this country. So yeah, I'm not getting into any specifics. Don't waste your breath. Yes, it's cool shit. No, you don't have it. No, it's not alien. Yes, it's there to look out for things to keep us safer. And we're looking and we're dedicated to keeping America as safe as possible. Nobody's perfect. Nobody catches everything, but we're doing our best to catch everything we can. And that's what it's there for. I would say something along those lines. Acknowledge it and say, yep, that's us. Yep, we're working. And keep you posted. We're going to try to just keep our country safe.
You got to be careful, because then you're going to get follow-up questions, and they're going to try to trip you up on any contradictions.
Well, I would, but if I'm not lying, I don't have to get tripped up on a contradiction.
Yeah, you'd have to have your talking points.
That was it.
Very specifically, and
That's
you'd have to address it and not go off script the slightest.
That's
Otherwise,
that's all I'm.
A general panic.
Yeah, and I would say obviously we're trying to weigh the concerns of when it goes over residential areas. You know, they're logistical, they're accidental. What if something comes crashing down? There's safety concerns, there's privacy concerns.
Right,
but Brian, we're working all that stuff out, but it's in a greater effort to keep the eastern seaboard safe from anything that came across the Pacific at a time when there's multiple wars going on across the globe.
All right, well, Brian, what if you knew that they were actually searching for, a dirty bomb? Yeah, that's what you would say. You would just you would leave that out, but then just say, oh, it's a training operation. Just check.
Not training. Okay. This is our technology, and its purpose is.
So you wouldn't tell the public what the scare was about. Okay,
yeah.
But you would just admit that they were at least ours.
I wouldn't admit. I would volunteer it gladly.
Okay.
Like, hey, you see battles going on in other countries. Ukraine, there's a war. Israel, there's a war. Here, look at the edge of China. If they're going to go in and take Taiwan, we're seeing all this stuff, and we are adapting and responding to the things that we're seeing other countries have. So we're going to take extra efforts to keep the perimeter of our country as safe as possible.
All right. So why not test them in like middle of, BFE, Nevada or Arizona or like New Mexico?
That's easy. That's easy. I'm not drawing a border around BFE to keep that border safe. I'm drawing a border around the edge of our continent to keep our continent safe. So you're seeing it on the East Coast on the water. Where else would you expect to see it? We're going to test it where we're going to use it. I'm not going to play basketball on the ice. I'm not going to play basketball on an ice rink. Well, why aren't you practicing out in the desert? You don't play basketball in a desert. You play basketball on a basketball court. So we're testing the stuff because we're going to keep the edges of our country safe from the perimeters. That's why you're seeing it there.
Okay.
I need to get hired for this. It's very easy to do. I know I say that now.
You're lying to the public by omission.
I'm not lying. No, I'm not.
But you know full well that there is a dirty bomb, and people are going to
ask me the question.
They're going to freak out. They're going to clog all of the turnpikes there in Jersey trying to flee. And you're just going to
so ask me the question as a hostile reporter.
Lights in the sky, just disregard. All right.
No, so ask me the hostile follow-up as a reporter. Go.
No.
All
right. No, all right. Fair enough, Brian. I think that's good.
Oh, but it would be well, sir. That's all well and good, but I have a report from General so-and-so that says you have specific information of a lost nuclear weapon. Blah blah blah. Is there any truth to blah blah blah? I'd say I'm not commenting on any specifics. What I will say is, if that were true, we would want to be looking around as much as we could. And if that's not true, we would want to be looking around as much as we could in case that could be true, right? So we are going to be taking a look around this whole area with some really advanced technology to keep America as safe as possible. Whether it's true, we would want to be looking as hard as we can. And if it's not true, you would want us to be looking as hard as we can. So we are. That's all I have to say about it.
Okay.
And we're talking about potentialities. We're talking about potentialities, reports, concerns, maybes. There's a lot to unpack. That's why I'm not getting into specifics. But what I am getting into is we have a strong desire to look at this area as much as possible. Anything bringing in cargo ships, and we want this secure. And so we're ramping up our efforts to be as secure as we can be. So we're doing it whether it is true or not. So that's where you answer it. It's not, I'm not going to deny it. I'm not getting into specifics. We're looking at all of the things to keep our eyes on anything that doesn't belong.
Okay. Sounds good.
And by the way, I would recommend everybody has an emergency plan in place to seal off your house for radiation, get some nuclear pills, potassium iodine, to go ahead.
Are you saying this as a spokesperson, or are you saying this as...
Well, I'll say it as me, But as a spokesperson, I would say, let me take it one step further. If there was something out there, like you're saying, that we already have information on, what would you want people to say? If you want an admission that there is something known, that there is nuclear something on the loose, then what's next? How would you best prepare for it? Well, some sort of respirator, some sort of potassium iodide.
Panic the public, Brian. I don't know about that. You're gonna say that? You're gonna go on? You're gonna go rogue, or is that? I don't know how you think that kind of thing would work. That'd be very tightly scripted.
No,
you would not be allowed to say that. You'd be fired right there.
It's easy. I'm a prepper. If I ever had a thought that, I wonder what I would do if the water didn't come on at my faucet. Well, maybe I would get a water filtration device and have a secondary source of water. Well, if I have concerns that there could be a nuclear bomb, well, maybe I would want some sort of respiration.
Yeah, but you wouldn't tell the public that. I don't know. All right, let's move on here. We're good.
All right. Well, I was bringing up White House officials being charged over Biden's decline. Do you agree or disagree? But I also asked if you could pull up the image, but for the thumbnail. But maybe we could do that on the story it's most applicable.
Right. Okay. Well, this is the this is the video you sent me. I didn't watch it yet, but I think we got kind of the gist of it here. Is that New Jersey Mayor Michael Melham says the radioactive material went missing on December 2nd. And it could have come through the Port Newark.
That's 15 days ago, 2 weeks and a day.
Yeah, so that could line up. So that's why people are speculating that there might be looking for nuclear signatures with advanced technological drones. All righty. Anyway, we'll move on.
Well, do we want it to play for a minute, or you got this?
No, I think we got the gist of it. Yeah. I mean, is there some?
Well, I mean, you'll hear a local politician. Yeah. You can hear the frustration, and there's frustration. There's obfuscation. There's legitimate frustration going on. There's people that are on a need-to-know basis. These people really do need to know. And every household should have a backup plan and something in place. You should have potassium iodide. They're like $10 a bottle. Go online and get a $10 bottle. Keep one in the glove box of every vehicle you're in and one at your house. It's like an EpiPen or a Narcan or a fire extinguisher. You keep them in all of the places just in case. You never know where you'll be.
You're not telling the public. Are you telling me as an audience? Are you telling our audience, or are you telling the American public that? Because you can't just mention that, because we don't know what the supply chains look like if they can actually get some. Look, and don't panic. We're not really looking for anything, but you might want to stock up on some potassium iodine in case there's something, But then they're going to go looking for it, and then they're probably not going to find it. You're fired, Brian. All right.
No, I'm not going to be like Fauci being all weird, like masks don't work because we need all the masks. Oh, wait. Everyone must wear 3 masks. Get out of here with that. Right. I'm just honest with the people. If anyone has a concern over that, here are the best top 10 ways. Like, well, as a press conference, I would come back and say, look, there's obviously concerns. So how about we do a regular press conference about ways to prepare your household and protect yourself and your family the best that you can. Well, we have no idea if anything will happen, but it's a great point to prepare so that our communities can be as strong as possible. And I think we should focus on the things we can personally do. That's a great redirection into ways to level up. You know what? Maybe even I'll work with the city to the appropriations board where we can maybe set up, stockpiles, and we can give, something to every member of the community, just because it makes us stronger. The more prepared we are, the better off.
We're using our taxpayer dollars for all that, Brian. All right. No, anyway. All right, Brian. Let's.
I'll take it away from the lab rats.
All right. We've spent way too much time milking the shit out of this story. Let's move on. But what was I gonna say?
If we're gonna move on, you gotta know where we're taking us. We were talking about Biden. Should White House officials be charged over the Biden decline? Deb from SAC is saying she just heard about this on Alex Jones' post on X, looking for radioactive material with drones. Yeah, a lot of people are saying this. It seems to be a growing concern. And she says, if it's true, I'm glad I'm not in Jersey. Well, I mean, look, this is right before the before inauguration. I wonder if they're going to end up doing a virtual inauguration. Deb is saying, my friend lives in Jersey, something.
She hasn't seen this or she would freak out. What I was going to say is that Mike Barra and Dr. Brooks Agnew also would say, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but that, the nuclear stuff is kind of overrated. It's not as dangerous as a lot of people might think it is, but it's still going to panic the public. So it's just generally not good, and it is going to do some devastation and harm at some point. So, but it might not be as bad as they're saying. So, no reason to panic, but there are a lot of panicky people out there that just freak out about shit like this. So,
Kenneth, am I supposed to sing that? Nuke, 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 and hurl. Duke, 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 of Earl. I think that's what I was supposed to do there.
Right. There you go.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, Trump has gone on record. He says, like they know what's going on. They can follow you into the garage. And he says, I'm not going to New Jersey. I'm canceling my trip. So no. Yes, they will talk about that tonight on Toxically Masculine Tuesday. They will milk the shit out of this topic, but we will shift to another topic. Blake, let's get to this next topic here about Joe Biden. Yeah, while all this stuff is happening, glad to know we have solid, strong leadership in the White House, right?
Not really, not this White House. No, you're seeing Trump looks presidential right now. Everybody's meeting with him in Mar-a-Lago. He says big press conferences, and Biden is nowhere to be found. Kamala's been in hiding. She's been on a drinking bender since the election. So we're not really sure who's actually running the White House.
Will Kamala run for governor? Could she possibly run for governor? I'm hearing a lot of that. You and I both used to live in California.
I just can't believe it. Such a huge state that they would elect Kamala, but who knows? I don't know. I think she's so awful. I don't know why people are even considering her. She was a terrible candidate, and I can't expect why they would, what they're thinking. Where would they get that kind of information, or why they would want to have her in a position of power? And she was a terrible attorney general there. So I don't know. Not sure what's happening. All right. And she was the most far left crazy senator. Well, this latest bombshell from James O'Keefe's media group, where a White House national security advisor telling a undercover journalist that Biden can't say a sentence. And they worry that Trump administration will investigate them. So it's a former spy, White House national security advisor named Henry Appel, I don't know, giving more inside info about Biden's cognitive decline and revealing worries amongst White House and national security officials if they will face investigations from the incoming Trump administration or Congress. Now, this is a long video. It's 14 minutes, so I'm not going to play any of it. It's really just going to be kind of a quick story. But they slammed Kamala for having a terrible campaign, and just kind of noticing that there's kind of like these senior moments by Biden, and he doesn't even think that he's going to be around for more than another year because he's gone downhill so badly. Appel told a story about how Biden once called his office looking for his boss, basically Jake Sullivan, who was not in the office. And so Biden then hung up the phone after he would say he would try another line, but then 10 seconds later, the same phone rang and Biden asked for Jake Sullivan again. So that's not a huge issue, but...
Is this Santa Claus? Hey, know, come on, man. Is this Santa Claus? Don't make me ask again, man. Come on, you know the thing. He's got the peach fuzz hair on his leg and the kids would touch it. With the presents and the toys and they all sit on the lap. Come on, man, you know the thing. Is this Santa Claus?
Yeah, it really is that bad. They're saying Joe Biden is like dead. He can't say a sentence. Biden's got an obvious state of mental decline. He's really progressed in his old age. Everybody recognizes it, and I can't believe it wasn't a bigger scandal earlier. And he predicts that he'll be dead in a year. So yeah, it's probably a good thing they didn't reelect him.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
But Joe Scarborough said that he was as sharp as he's as sharp as he's ever seen him before.
Yeah, kind of makes you wonder, huh?
Yeah,
kind of makes you wonder what type of blackmail do they have on these people.
like he killed an intern in his office and got away with it. I mean, like that.
Yeah, let's switch topics to more blackmail as we continue through. But let me follow up on something we were saying a moment ago. Let me full screen this as much as I can. Talking about what California is going to California. This is a voting map of margin shifts since 2020, Blake. Look at what happened. These are plus Republican every single place. If I'm reading this right. Shown for only counties that have counted at least 95% of their estimated vote total. All right, so I mean, it's a partial map, but this is the trend in California, a movement away from backward policies that harm the residents and a drastic shift toward policies that are going to help the residents of California. So yeah, I would find it hard to believe. Yes, Kenneth, even though residents of California might not be sharp as a tack, they might be sharp as a pillow. There has a lot of Republican-leaning people have fled places like California, but the people that stayed have also shifted because the entire country has shifted, the entire world has shifted. We're going to get to Justin Trudeau in just a second, but before we do, let's talk about Diddy and blackmail. So, Blake, we're talking about Joe Scarborough, and my goodness, for someone to say he's sharp as a tack, what in the world type of blackmail and bribery must they have on this character? Well, agree or disagree that the Diddy blackmail tapes should be sold off in bidding wars. What say you, Blake?
Disagree. I don't know if are they able to just get rid of the evidence by selling it off? I think that's kind of the question that I have. But let's take a look. I've got an article here. Daniel Baldwin. God, how many Baldwin brothers are there? It's Alec and Adam and Stephen, and I guess Daniel was another one. I don't know. Actor Daniel Baldwin has made extraordinary claims that Hollywood stars are involved in bidding wars to prevent copies of blackmail sex tapes filmed at the infamous Sean Diddy Combs freak-off parties from falling into the wrong hands. So appearing on this podcast, the PBD podcast, Baldwin stated that he has videos of the parties, and he's heard from friends that are attorneys that there's a bidding war going on right now. And they're driving that price up because if you want your client and your famous actor to not be involved or a famous singer, here's the price that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those. And he goes, this is what I heard. So it is secondhand. He says they're selling those videos, claiming that some celebrities are buying them to try to save their own skins. He compared the Diddy situation to Epstein's alleged recordings of elites engaged in incriminating sex acts. So I don't know. We could play pop.
Look at Diddy, for instance. Let's take a look at him. Let's take a look at, he has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on right now. They're driving that price up because if you want your client and your famous actor to not be involved, or famous singer to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those. This is what I heard. They're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big, big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties, he was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out. He does not want it to come out. Same thing for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the interesting thing about the Epstein and the theory about Epstein is we know he filmed people for sure on that island. He has a lot of movies, a lot of films of people that are very, very powerful political figures, and entertainers, business people. So Do you really believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? And
of course not.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
That
so there's
happened
other
under
theories that
Trump's
he's in
watch.
Lebanon. He never died.
That happened under Trump's watch, though. Bill Barr.
Right.
Just something to remember, just to point that out. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
At all, that having the weight of owning those films right now over people. So will Donald Trump release those films? I believe Donald Trump probably has a lot of friends that are in those videos too. I don't know if it behooves him to release them either. But what happens if iconic African Americans or iconic Japanese Americans or iconic Anglo Americans, former presidents, so what happens if they're in those videos? What does that do to the herding of the sheep? Because I believe that's exactly what we're experiencing.
He was trying to say Obama, right? He just didn't want to say it. What did he
There's
say?
a lot of people. That could be Prince Harry. It could be Obama or Michelle.
He said former presidents, African American. Like he was like kind of like
alluding to that. Yeah.
and everything but Obama, who's been destroying the country for 3 of the past 4 presidential terms. Obama. Anyway,
Love the Reggie Love.
Reggie Love, right? All right, let's continue on this. It's very.
That's the end of the clip. But
gotcha. There's a lot of speculation, Blake. There's a lot of speculation.
Well, yeah, former bodyguard claimed the rapper is not is footage of not only celebrities but elite politicians and state figures engaging in compromising activities. The old freak-off parties were, yes, victims being forced to engage in sex acts while Puff Daddy masturbated and recorded it all. Says, yeah, I don't think it's only celebrities. Yeah, it's politicians. Could be preachers. He had every room bugged. So, yeah, it's pretty devastating. You even got minors involved in these things. So it's a big shit show. Trial scheduled for May 5th, 2025. Wow, so that's the date, 5/5/25. Interesting. If he's still around, we shall see. And yeah, it feels like they're just, are they selling evidence? Can you do that? Or is there something else? But he also makes a good point that even Trump, if he wanted this truth to come out, would he be loyal to his friends that are possibly engaged in this stuff? And then I don't know how many people were actually like drugged. So do you hold that?
That's exactly what I wrote down.
Yeah.
If someone was drugged and abused, you would feel bad for that person because that's like the grossest shit you could ever do, to drug somebody and abuse them like that. That was wrongfully or maybe largely lumped into the Me Too movement and college drinking culture and college culture and abuse. It's one thing to go party and be reckless and have, make decisions. It's another thing to abuse somebody intentionally. It's another thing to be abused and then feel bad about it and then be told you're going to say this, you're going to do this or else. That's like even worse. So I don't know how you draw the line, or it's, well, now that you've been busted, join us on this other side. You're already in the group anyway. But to finish, you got to do something awful to join the group for good. You've heard about the Pelosi, the Hillary Clinton, the Anthony Weiner laptop. You've heard about all sorts of stuff. Abuse. So like there's different levels of being involved in this. And then there's like Bill Clinton going to the island or Bill Gates allegedly going to both of them allegedly. Well, we know they went. What did they do when they were there? Were they engaging in debaucherous conditions, just fun, frivolous sexual activity with well-intentioned, of age, other consenting adults? It's like, well, I mean, you do you, boo. Like there's only so much. That only crosses the threshold into give a fuck when it goes into abuse. Knowingly, intentionally doing things against people's will, against people that don't have the right to consent. There's a lot of questions here. And so if you get invited to a Diddy party, I mean, look, people go to the parties, but it's like, what happens once you go there? Do you go in a room and you watch a bunch of freaky things happening? You're like, ooh, tee hee hee. And it's like, by the way, guys, we got rooms over here. If you guys want to, get it on, get here, have a drink. And it's laced with roofies and,
Well, I think that's what it is. You go and you're like, oh, cool. I got to go to a Diddy party. And then someone hands you a glass of champagne. Boom, boom. And then next thing you know, you're like all messed up. And then you're engaged in some freak off.
Yeah. So there's a lot of levels to this, man.
Right.
Anyway, not sure about that. But here's another guy. Do you have any more to add on this, or do you want to bounce?
Nope. Yeah, not yet. Oh, we're good.
Wait, what's that?
I said no, not yet. Not any. That's the last thing I had on.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about another guy that you wonder if he has had some sort of blackmail. I wonder about this guy. I mean, look, Trump isn't even in office, Blake, and he is making stuff happen. He started calling Canada one of what did he say? America's 51st state, and called him Governor Trudeau.
Yeah.
And now Trudeau is on the verge of resigning. So agree or disagree, Blake? Justin Trudeau should resign as the Prime Minister of Canada. What say you?
Yeah, let's just do it. He's a disgrace to Canada. So, I think it's time for him to go. But, yeah, there's been calls for that over the weekend. Yeah, he did get roasted pretty good by Trump, even though he did come down and meet in Mar-a-Lago. But, it's an interesting turn of developments going on in Canada over the weekend. And yes, like their financial minister resigned. Let me pull up a couple of stories. So here's one of them. Justin Trudeau might actually, yes, this is true, might resign soon. Let me pull this up. Here we go. I wonder if I can flip these. Okay, let's take a look. So Prime Minister Trudeau's government reportedly faces its gravest crisis yet as Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland resigned Monday. She was a tyrant involved in freezing bank accounts from the Canadian trucker rally. And so she resigned. That was yesterday, delivering a scathing rebuke of his leadership and economic policies. Freeland's departure, accompanied by a blistering resignation letter, came after weeks of tension over proposed spending measures and concerns about potential U.S. tariffs. The veteran minister, who also served as the deputy prime minister, rejected what she characterized as costly political gimmicks advocated by Trudeau's administration. Yeah, that sure is damning. You don't want somebody saying something like that. Imagine if like Jerome Powell or Janet Yellen came out and said anything like that about the Biden administration, that they were using costly political gimmicks. So here she is, the tyrant finance minister, Chrystia, and laughing. Oh, yeah, I hear about the freezing the bank accounts of truckers who protested Trudeau's COVID policy.
Never forget who these people are. Get rid of all of them. Hold their feet to the fire. These politicians have not paid the penalty for what they did and how they treated you during COVID. It is time, globally, cast them out. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. This is also why I'm wearing my Kids in the Hall shirt today for Canada.
That's your Save Canada shirt? Blame Canada.
No, but I mean, they're Canadian. It's Canadian sketch comedy. So I think, it's the perfect day to break this out. Cool. I haven't worn it yet.
Is this the topic that the thumbnail was based on today?
No.
When are we getting to the thumbnail?
Well, that's the major story, right? That's for Liz Cheney.
Oh, okay. We'll get to Cheney in a minute. Okay, Let's hear from this lady.
All right, here we go.
So you're confirming that accounts have been frozen, both personal and corporate, but you're not releasing
She's
the
so
information.
happy.
And the actual follow-up is,
I'm
just wondering whether the
keep those truckers in line.
bank accounts will be targeted of individuals who donated to the Give, Send, Go and the GoFundMe campaigns. Are they considered designated people under the Emergencies Act, meaning that their credit cards could be cut and financial services are targeting them as well?
Okay, so the names of both individuals and entities, as well as crypto wallets, have been shared by the RCMP with financial institutions, and accounts have been frozen, and more accounts will be frozen. Crowdfunding platforms and payment service providers have started the registration process with FinTrack. In terms of the specifics on whose accounts are being frozen, you now have the regulations. The financial service providers have those regulations as well, and they, working with law enforcement, will be making the operational decisions.
Okay, so evil.
And so she's the one that resigned first, or she's one of the people that resigned in this latest chain, this cascading resignation chain.
She was the first one, I believe. She's a major one. She's basically like the VP almost, all right? The deputy PM. Not that I really understand how Canadian Parliament works, but yeah, if you're deputy prime minister, that sounds like a pretty prominent title there.
So is that like your vice president resigning?
I don't know.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I'm call it close. Let's say like an upper level cabinet position without actually knowing. So the political earthquake intensified as the new Democratic Party leader, Jagmeet Singh, made an unprecedented call for Trudeau's resignation, marking the first time he had explicitly demanded the prime minister to step down. So here it is.
Why are you holding out the option to still support this government? I understand that you're saying that you might, trigger a confidence vote, but why are you still holding out the option? What is the glimmer of hope that you're seeing to possibly support the Feds or possibly support this government in some other way?
Depends on the votes. And so I want to make it very clear. Justin Trudeau has to go. He has to resign. And because of that, all options are on the table. And we'll look at each vote and we'll make a decision. But now all options are on the table.
Wow. So that's big. And then here is Pierre Poilievre, I don't know how to pronounce it, in Parliament, but he was running against Trudeau.
And is he running again against him in that 26? But they're trying to get him out earlier, right? Something.
I'm not sure. I cannot comment on that. But yeah, he's an interesting character and probably should be the PM. Let's check.
The Prime Minister has lost control, but he is clinging to power. We knew that
he must be reading this in French. Okay, speaking in French.
Lost control of the borders, of immigration, of spending, of inflation, of the cost of housing. But now he has lost control of his cabinet. The Vice Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance has stepped down, and she stepped down hours before presenting Canada's fall economic statement with an enormous deficit. When will we have an election?
Okay, so they're ready for him to step down and have a new election.
So I wonder if Trump was going so hard at Trudeau because he knew that he could push and because I think the Trump effect is much bigger than we realize. The Trump effect is giving a lot of people in other places the audacity to seize their country back from madmen. And Trudeau has been nothing short of a madman. In the same level of Obama, just almost everything they push is backward. Almost everything they push is destructive, short-sighted, globalist, anti the people residing from that country, anti-Canadian, anti-American. And they're peas in a pod, these two. I just wonder what type of blackmail they have on him, allegedly.
Well, he's totally 99.9% chance that he is the illegitimate son of Fidel Castro. He will not change my mind on that. I have seen the pictures, and his mom and Pierre used to hang out together back in the swinging 60s. I don't know if I can find that. I wasn't prepared to. Oh wait, here we go. Of course. Yeah, let's check this out real quick just to show you. Compromised. Fidel Castro was Justin Trudeau's dad. Nobody's debunked anything. Here's some of the pictures. I mean, you can see this. This is why in the frick would Fidel Castro be standing next to Justin Trudeau's mother? And this is her with her arm around him. That
is a sweet embrace right there. That is double arm on arm. Arm on arm is like one of the most intimate things you can do. And then reaching over the back, like that is, you couldn't stage that any better. That is not just a typical, oh, hey, how are you? Good to see you. And it's okay. Like, look, I've hugged people that I barely know as well. But I mean, they do look similar too. And they knew each other.
Right. Yeah, and Pierre, I'm not even knocking Pierre so much, the father, but he's not a good-looking dude. His wife was like 30 years younger. She was the party socialite, and I guess they were swingers, and they loved Fidel Castro, and they hung out, and so what? He shared. They had their thing. They had a kid. I'm not even judging any of it, but I'm just saying how. I mean, it's so right in our face, and you look at these
that's
pictures.
Interesting, Blake, because communism, you think of communes,
right?
Having group orgies all the time, and then you think of communism where you share, so you're sharing your wife like the cuckold that you are. There's a lot of communism, commune. I never really thought about that before. All right, you got me thinking. Go ahead.
Yeah, but they definitely hung out, and here are the pictures, and there is just the resemblance is just too much. So I mean, you look at it, that's Fidel Castro's kid. Does that look anything like Pierre? No, with no offense to him, not a handsome guy. Certainly not his father. So anyway, I think they did a fantastic job with this article. I'm not going to cover it all, but yes, he's certainly controlled opposition to some extent. So it's kind of a cool story, right?
It's
the way things actually work in the real world, but bizarre. Anyway, what else? Was there anything else I was going to mention on that? Oh, okay. Let's a couple other quick notes. We do have Pierre also talking about the resignation of Chrystia Freeland. Let's see if it's in English.
Let's see.
Oh my God, the audio is too much of an issue, so we're not going to play that. All right, let's do one more quick video of Trudeau getting heckled in Canada as he went out in public.
And by the way, before you play it, I mean, look, there's been it's years in the works, but there's a lot of phrases that are starting to pop up in a way that you're looking at them differently now. And just one of those phrases that's been going on for years and years. These people won't be able to walk the streets. And so you got a clip here. I mean, you do your country wrong. We see it. We know it. It doesn't matter which friends in high places, which Soroses, Epsteins, Diddy's, financiers. It doesn't matter who's got your back. If you lost the people, there's no coming back. That rhymed. All right, play the clip.
Nice. All right, let's check this. As Trudeau is leaving whatever building to get into his
Kenneth talking about Castro. She fiddled his Castro. Not Fidel Castro. She fiddled his Castro. All right, let's see this clip from Trudeau.
There's a Lewinsky joke in there too. Huh?
I know, they write themselves.
I wonder what happened there. All right, let's go.
Prime Minister, are you going to remain in office, sir?
No, what gives you the right to continue? What gives you the right to stay in office? Thank you. You failed Canada. You've ruined our country. You're done. Walk away. You don't have an ounce of your father's integrity. At least he walked in the snow. You've ruined this country. Everyone around.
Yeah, at least his father, shared his wife with Fidel Castro.
Running from you. You're abandoning you. Chrystia Freeland, Sean John Fraser. They've all left you. It's time for you to go. It's time for Canada to have an election. You're not the king.
Nice.
Okay,
All right, I love this part.
that's the Prime Minister getting into his motorcade. I do not know who was shouting those questions, but
Not a
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it
They
was.
said not a journalist.
Not
I don't
a
know who would answer
journalist.
those.
Who does she think journalists are? We don't need to pass your bullshit test. Anybody is a journalist.
Right,
Hell,
well,
if I can
Canada-
do it, anybody can do it.
Well, in Canada, there's state media ops, so they're not real
Yeah.
journalists.
Can I hear that quote one more time? Probably not. Or they were. What did she say exactly? Not a journalist.
Okay, that's the Prime Minister getting into his motorcade. I do not know who was shouting those questions, but
Not a
I'm going to go
journalist.
out on a limb and say
Yeah.
it wasn't a member of the Parliamentary Press Gallery.
Yeah, I wasn't a member of the parliamentary press. No shit. Because they wouldn't have the balls to do anything like that. They're state media script readers. They're a disgrace, masquerading as journalists.
And those are the worst kinds when they, Blake, you have family members and friends that watch the news thinking they're getting accuracy, and it rots their brains. We all know people. They tune into MSNBC or CNN, and it's like they're living on another planet. You try to communicate to them. It destroys humanity, consumption of this stuff, unless you're doing it ironically to mock them. Yeah, you're right, Blake. It's a disgrace. And it's one of the purest forms of poison that can infiltrate the minds of humanity, the heart, the soul of humankind. And I am praying that Canada casts off the shackles of Trudeau as soon as possible. Yeah, Deb is saying one of their paid shills wasn't shouting it. No kidding. No kidding indeed. So there's Justin Trudeau. He should resign as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's talk about now someone else who, it's not that she needs to resign. She's been fired, but now it's time for her to be indicted. All right, there's the thumbnail now, Blake. Let's see it in all of its glory.
Okay.
By the way, if you've noticed, I've been covering up the American flag circle with the TNAM logo. I need to send you that if you don't have it. I want to put that over the volleyball at the bottom left. But walk us through this picture here. It is Taco Tuesday. God, tacos sound good. I got a nice taco place around the corner. You've been to that place.
I have, and now I actually live in Nashville now, so I could probably get real tacos because the small town I was living in only had like Taco Bell. They had two different Taco Bells, and they have their couple of chain restaurants. I never tried them because I just didn't. After Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Austin, it's kind of a little more particular about my Mexican cuisine.
Now, wait a minute. There was also the last time you were here, we went to another taco place. We sat at the bar. Remember that place? That place was really good. Gustavo's.
Yeah. No, that was good. Yeah, because we had those birria tacos, right?
Yeah, birria with the dipping sauce. That stuff is good, dude.
It was very nice. Yeah, that was good times. Yeah, it's I love the cuisine when it's done right. And that looks like a cool little cantina there.
Yeah, tell us what we got going on here. We got Liz. Who's serving her food?
Well, we have 5 templates that we use, and that one is us in the bars in Chicago, so we look weird because of the lighting. But so then I just try to make the theme around drinking and what have you. So then I thought Tuesday, hey, it's Taco Tuesday, so let's make a mock-up with Liz and Cassidy Hutchinson. So a big plate of tacos, pitcher of beer, some margaritas. Oh, I gave you I used to have an old fashioned. You got a michelada there, Brian.
Oh, you covered up my old fashioned with a michelada.
Yep.
All right. I'm here for it. I'll mess with that.
Theme a little bit better. Mine's already in my hand, so I can't really do anything about it. So anyway, there you go. So that's today's thumbnails.
Yes, I always want to highlight the thumbnail. That's up to you. If I ever forget to bring it up, you need to make sure you bring it up for the topic when it matches, because we put time into the thumbnail and they're fun. So let's talk about them. But Liz Cheney, there's not much fun about her. She got demolished, eviscerated. I almost said emasculated. She got trounced when she tried to run for re-election. The people spoke loud and clear, and now she might have to pay the piper for her acts of treason to sabotage Donald Trump and to frame all these innocent J6ers who are just part of a mostly peaceful protest. And then she was engaged in all sorts of cover-ups and jury tampering and deleting evidence and deleting exculpatory information that has ruined the lives of people that they've kept detained in dank hellholes for the past couple of years without some cases charges even being filed. It's just their time is so up and they won't be able to walk the streets. When she went for re-election, they couldn't cheat to keep her in power. She was black. What she lost like 65-35, 70-30. She got crushed. Deb from Sac is saying Blake's digital work is awesome. And yes, remember, you can always hire Blake. Blake does work. Just hit him up on X at TV's Blake Walley. Good grief. At TV's Blake Walley. Blake's for hire. He's always for hire. He does cool shit. Yeah, Taco Lives Matter. All right, walk us through this here. What we know about Liz Cheney, Blake.
Yeah, this is all news. So House GOP has accused Liz Cheney of tampering with J6 witness, and they're asking the FBI to investigate the criminality. This would specifically go with Cassidy Hutchinson, who spread that damning rumor about Trump trying to like commandeer the beast.
So stupid.
So Service.
Stupid.
Right. So not looking good. So the House Administration Oversight Subcommittee and its chairman, Barry Loudermilk, on Tuesday, that would be today, released an interim report on the J6 Capitol riot, concluding the attack was preventable and also asking for an investigation into former Representative Liz Cheney, who lost her primary to another Republican by a landslide in Wyoming, for criminally tampering with a witness during the Democrat-led congressional inquiry of the tragedy. And here's the quote: based on the evidence obtained by this subcommittee, numerous federal laws were likely broken by Liz Cheney, former vice chair, and these violations should be investigated by the FBI. So that is damning. Ouch. And yeah, against the also the daughter of the former vice president. So evidence uncovered by the subcommittee revealed former Congresswoman Liz Cheney tampered with at least one witness, Cassidy Hutchinson, by secretly communicating without Hutchinson's attorney's knowledge. They also tried to get her attorney disbarred. So it says this secret communication with a witness is improper and likely violates some statutes. Such action is outside the due functioning of the legislative process and therefore not protected by the speech and debate clause. So federal law criminalizes witness tampering of varying degrees and subjects a defendant to as many as 20 years in prison. So bad for Liz. Yeah,
I like what Kenneth is saying here. Liz chained me. Soon. Liz chained me. Oh, yeah. She should be sent to Gitmo. Treason should have consequences. Let's make treason applicable again.
Yeah.
If you don't make an example out of these ruling families that have been destroying our country and a purchasing power of our currency and the sovereignty of our nation and the erosion of our civil liberties and money laundering to places that hate us, fueling both sides of a war so that they could profit, the military industrial complex can, continue stacking cash on the bodies of the innocent. Like this stuff is no longer applicable. This stuff is no longer tolerable. This stuff has to stop. And the Cheneys, the Pelosi's, the Bidens, the Obamas, the ones that committed the treason, chain me. Liz chain me. Soon. Fingers crossed. TikTok, the hammer of justice is coming. That's my new favorite phrase. I just keep repeating it. Like, how many days? 30 days, 29 days, however many days. TikTok.
Yeah.
MFR TikTok.
I sure hope you're right, Brian. Yes, it seems to be all the momentum is swinging that way, and they can correct this horrible wrong from this committee that smeared Trump and all of his supporters and put people in jail, political prisoners. So, and they've also, they data deleted. According to the report, House investigators sought to examine as many as 900 interviews. More than a terabyte of digital data, however, including video records of the interviews, were not archived by the panel. And of the documents that were provided to the Loudermilk staff, Select Committee delivered more than 100 encrypted password-protected documents and never provided the passwords. So you just can't do stuff like this. The failure to provide the subcommittee with these records raises serious concerns about the content of the records and their contribution to the Select Committee's narrative. They did obtain footage, however, of Pelosi on January 6th from the HBO documentary, which was in possession of the film taped by her daughter. Footage, some of which was released by House Republicans earlier, shows the Democratic leader acknowledges that she bears responsibility for the absence of National Guard while she evacuates the Capitol. So, then of course you have Cheney and the contradictions right here. So let's take a quick look at this. Loudermilk staff, they did a thorough investigation of the outlandish claims from testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson. The former aide to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows sensationalized the show trials of the committee when she claimed that then President Trump tried to violently hijack his armored limousine and drive himself to the Capitol as the riot unfolded. And so she was immediately contradicted by the same sources that she cited in a public congressional hearing, but was celebrated by Trump's opponents as their star witness. So it was all made up. The latest report from the House Republicans had 8 findings related to Hutchinson's explosive testimony, but it included the backdoor channels from then Representative Liz Cheney took to circumvent the White House's side attorney, Stefan Passantino. Investigators not only exonerated Trump of the allegations that he assaulted Secret Service agents, right, and because they sought to personally riot at the Capitol and then hang his vice president, but they also found evidence that the committee coordinated to disbar Passantino. So, Select Committee did this by using the content of its not yet public report to accuse Passantino of instructing Hutchinson to lie, though Passantino was cleared of wrongdoing after multiple investigations. So, he tried to take his, targeted his law license, and they had to file his own complaint and a $67 million lawsuit against the federal government. Yeah, there is some damning stuff, man. We'll move on. I know Jack Posobiec has been posting some of the text messages between Liz Cheney and Cassidy Hutchinson, showing multiple calls between them without lawyers present. In fact, Hutchinson was sharing her lawyer's private text messages with Cheney. So, I mean, they really, so saying, she belongs in prison. This is pretty damning stuff. Liz Cheney referred for prosecution, coached Cassidy Hutchinson to change her testimony in the committee, and then deleted all their communications. So just witness tampering, off to jail. And I think that's about it. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go through all the text messages, but we'll certainly get more information. But this is all breaking stuff from this afternoon. So,
yes. All right. Well, let's.
Do we want to show? We never played this one. This one also came out over the weekend, as we found out that all these confidential human these sources, these informants for the FBI, at least 26 FBI.
How relevant do you find it that they've admitted that? They've found, rather, the Republicans have found that there were at least 26 involved. We're in some Telegram conversations. We won't out some of the people, but some people think this is relevant and important, and some people are downplaying the significance of this. Blake, what say you? How significant is this? How damning is
it's huge, especially, I mean, it's one thing if you're going to have, confidential sources embedded in the crowd that can just kind of spy and gather information. It's another thing if they're actually, instigating the breach of going inside the Capitol and trying to, persuade you directly or indirectly innocent people to do things, to get themselves into trouble. And that appears to be what happened.
And what was the name of that guy, John Sullivan, that was yelling in the stairwell that ramped up the situation when Ashley?
That was one. I don't know if he was a source or not, but he was definitely he was an Antifa guy.
Well, he was a CNN guy. He was paid by CNN, and CNN is deep state. I mean, that's you're not 2 degrees of separation away. CNN is the deep state. MSNBC is the deep state. He was on payroll. He was there to get film, and the crazier the film, so he was ramping it up and trying to yell stuff to freak out the guy inside that made him fire the shot, the only shot fired that day. So, I mean, yes, that's ancillary. It's not to say that John Sullivan, and he was convicted of stuff, but that's not to say he himself was an informant. But if they're saying 26 people were underneath that very specific umbrella purview, it's got to be at least 10x the amount of people that were involved under other umbrellas. They go, oh, plausible deniability. Nope, that's not our guy. Well, yes, he's a CHS. Yes, he's a confidential human source, but not in the respect that he's directly No, see, we have an NGO who pays him to get journalism back to CNN so that we can push it through our Democrat party. No, see, it's really not us. It's like when the U.S. was like, no, we don't torture. And then they're funding all the rendition camps in Northern Africa. All they did was outsource the torture. And it's like, yes, you're doing it. No, I didn't do it. Yeah, you paid the guy that did it. Well, you didn't ask me that. Like it's that weaselly shit that just you can tell what someone's saying by what they're not saying a lot of the time. But Stephen A. Smith is speaking out here. Maybe let's give him the floor.
We also didn't mention Ray Epps, somebody who seems very obvious to be an informant for the FBI and was protected, but was promoting and trying to get people to go inside the Capitol and to do bad things, pushing the barriers. It's one thing just to give human intelligence from the ground, and it's another one when you're trying to, it's like entrapping people. And
you're creating the news. It's almost you're entrapping and you're creating the news.
Right. And as you said, it's like 26 that might be affiliated with the FBI. There are other, intelligence agencies that were also had their own informants. So it's probably going to go beyond that even.
Oh, yeah.
But it was great to see Stephen A. Smith from ESPN, getting political here and, calling this out that January 6th was an inside job after the Department of Justice had to report that there were at least 26 FBI agents in the crowd. So he's sick of it. And they demonized a lot of good people, including us, Brian, for, just calling it out. They wanted to throw everybody in jail for this. And it was all just big insurrection. It was all staged, and they allowed it to happen. They wanted it to happen, to blame the supporters. They could have had the National Guard there. And then they were tampering with the evidence to try to make it sound bad and using human resources to get people to instigate and cause trouble. So here, let's take a look at Stephen A. Smith.
The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appear to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. The belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case. And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. I mean, I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, you know, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? You know what I'm getting to the Democratic Party? You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right to make the case that the right had a monopoly on insidious, evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies, duplicitous, hypocritical, untruthful tendencies. And every time they made those accusations, we turn around and find out that at least some of them are guilty of the same shit. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it. I'm sick of all of it.
Join us.
They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right.
It's not making him look like he was right. It's not making him look like he's right. He was right. You see those memes and those comments all the time. Trump was right. Trump was right about everything. He was right about it all. Now that's obviously a gross exaggeration, but yeah, to a higher clip than we've ever seen in that office. Yeah, Trump's been right about almost all this stuff, Blake.
Yeah, and so now it's time to change the narrative of that day. So, and start targeting, Liz Cheney. It's time for all these people to start lawyering up. Pelosi, Cheney, the whole committee, and all of these news people, and the Justice Department. There's a lot of people that were involved in this and try to perpetuate a humongous lie. And if they had their way, Trump would be in jail for insurrection, and so many other people would be, hunted down and incarcerated. And they would push this lie for the end of time. It's pretty disgusting and outrageous. And so there has to be some kind of a penalty for that. And it's going to be coming. So Liz Cheney up to 20 years. We'll see. So it's time to flip the script, turn the tables. And I'm here for it. So good on you.
Absolutely. Let's also flip the script and the tables on what people are saying in the media about President Trump, shall we? All right, Blake, agree or disagree that George Snuffleupagus lied about the Trump rape allegations? Agree or disagree? George Snuffleupagus lied about Trump allegations.
Yeah, I think they all did. I think they could all tell that this E. Jean Carroll had zero credibility, and they were just using some, political case there to smear him. And so, now it's time to. They're going to have to pay up for pushing those lies.
Yeah, because it was factually incorrect what he was saying. This was Nancy Mace held him to the fire. I mean, I don't know if you have the video there to kind of sum up the moment that it happened. It was about that time that George Snuffleupagus knew that he'd done effed up.
All right, let's see.
I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. This was a civil court. It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
I'm asking you about the man
as a rape victim who's been shamed for years now because of her rape. You're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think it's offensive. As a woman, I find it offensive. For my political choices, I've endorsed the man that I believe is best for our country. It's not Joe Biden. And you looked at the dueling rallies yesterday in Georgia. Laken Riley's family was with Donald Trump. They weren't with Joe Biden. The same guy yesterday that apologized for calling her killer an illegal, who wasn't illegal. And here you are trying to shame a rape victim. I find it disgusting.
I mean, you keep saying I'm shaming you.
You are. The question, it is.
How is the question asking you about a presidential candidate who's
You're asking a rape victim.
And there's no question about that. And you've courageously talked about that.
Because I've been raped. I think that's disgusting.
No, I'm questioning your political choices because you're supporting
me. You're
someone who's been found liable for rape. Actually, I'm not trying to shame you.
You are. That's exactly
what you're doing. You're not answering the question.
I think it's disgusting.
All right. Anyway,
this was the Clinton mouthpiece who got rewarded by ABC. The deep state. It's all, where was that post? Somebody said that the mainstream media is all the deep state. Yes. No, by the way, we've retired the term mainstream media. Blake, we call them the
lying legacy.
Yes, sir. Lying legacy media. Woohoo! Yes, it's all semantics, and they have lost the right to define themselves, even though I'm defining him as George Snuffleupagus. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a criminal court. It was, what was that? There was a technical term of what the jury found by a preponderance of that. You don't have to be certain. You have to be mostly, kind of, sort of. And that's the difference between a civil and a criminal. But Snuffleupagus there was trying to conflate the two and say Trump was guilty of rape. It's like Nancy Mace did a great job. She's like, no, he wasn't. And it was that incorrect, intentionally incorrect framing that did him in. I mean, if Kyle Rittenhouse and the Covington kid can go get their cash, can you imagine every outlet that could be bankrupted now by Trump just going after him for the lies? Oh, Trump called Nazis fine people. Trump told you to drink bleach. These are not misinterpretations. These are not, they saw the same thing and they had different opinions on it. They thought, I don't know, they thought mint chocolate chip was as good as chocolate or as good as strawberry. They had a difference of opinion. There's no difference of opinion on whether Trump called Nazis fine people or whether he said you should drink bleach. None of it ever happened. And the people that were pushing these known lies need to be held accountable. Like there used to be an enforcement mechanism for that. Let's make enforcement of these mechanisms great again. I mean, I thought 15 million is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's a nice start, and it is good to see the apology, and it's good to see Stephanopoulos has to issue a public apology after President Trump filed a defamation suit for the comments asserting that he was found liable for rape. So,
and look, I will give a lot of people leeway, maybe not a free pass. I'm not trying to say that, but like there's leeway in saying things inarticulately or, I was saying it that way. And I guess it was something different. But it's when you do it with intent and malice, there has to be repercussions for this stuff because Joe Biden running on the lie. Now, come on, man. You know, I decided to run when I heard Donald Trump call Nazis fine people. No, that never happened. And Obama was out there running that same lie the same week of the election. Like these people have been brainwashing and just harming the American people with their lies. It's okay if you don't like the guy. You can call them all sorts of names. You could say their policy sucks, but trying to equate them to some sort of absolute monster, it's poisoning to the point where people are going out and you're wrecking their brain and they're causing a whole bunch of harm. I don't know how much more you had on this, but I did want to, we could talk about CNN.
Well, just make a quick note.
Legacy News or go to damaged people who are committing crimes in Wisconsin or finish up on Stephanopoulos.
Yeah, there's two more stories. I'll just quick wrap this up, but just there's a couple interesting comments. Here's one from Mike Cernovich, who is a lawyer, saying Stephanopoulos was set to sit for a 4-hour deposition and have his emails subject to discovery.
There we go.
That's why they settled the case, to prevent people from learning just how much ABC News lies. So it's not Megyn Kelly, another lawyer, total victory. Shame on George and ABC. couldn't have given their star further embarrassed under oath. Yeah, they couldn't. Yeah, so they opted for the settlement. So that's it's also to make your point. Yeah, the only way to stop corporate media from lying is by literally making them pay. So that's what Trump's doing. He's also suing a lady in Iowa, a pollster, for putting out a misleading poll in Iowa saying that Kamala was up by 3 points, but then they lost by like 15 or something. So he calls that election interference. So yeah, and it's also interesting. Yeah, the 15 million is not going to Trump. He's going to be putting it into his presidential library. So.
Now I saw Zuckerberg is giving $1 million to the Trump presidential inauguration campaign committee fund or something. So like, I mean, they're finding ways, route it here, route it there, route it everywhere. But I mean, if there's one person that's been more falsely maligned over the past 12 years, I challenge you to find anybody who's been more maliciously, falsely maligned over the past 12 years. And yeah, there should be some repercussions. Dina's saying it's the preponderance of the evidence is different from the strictest evidentiary standard. Yeah, it's night and day. It's night. You have to have a unanimous verdict to find somebody guilty. You can be like 7 out of 10. There's different provisions. Different grand juries are given different instructions, I think, from state to state, depending on how lax their grand jury situation is. And I encourage everybody out there to actually serve on your grand jury, sit in a court, be somebody there that could cause some jury nullification if you find yourself in a jackpot and see, like, God, that could have easily been me. I'm not going to vote to convict. You nullify the jury. You just sit there and go, nope. You're not doing it. You found your guy today, and I'm going to block it. It's a huge, crucially important part of our American justice system. Nobody has time for it. Nobody has money for it. Nobody's so busy they can just drop their life. But these are people who have their lives on the line. Deb is saying Dina likes those big words. I love the big words. I was just thinking about my buddy John from college. He had the most interesting, clever, witty vernacular and banter of anybody in the cosmos. I love every time I would talk with him, it would challenge me to think of a synonym for every word I was about to select. I was going to say choose, but I tried to find a fancier word, so I went with select. Okay, so there's Stephanopoulos, and that's it's probably a good thing. They know how guilty they are. ABC, ESPN, Disney. Yeah, ABC, ESPN, Disney, same company. They are bonkers. If they had access to those emails, imagine what they could have uncovered. Okay, let's talk about one fake news source going to another fake news source. Blake, agree or disagree that CNN staged a Syrian prison rescue for ratings and prestige? Agree or disagree? Agree.
This is hilarious. Watching the downfall of CNN. They've been forced also to admit that their reporter was duped. I don't know if she was duped. I think they willingly went along with this, saying this Assad victim found in Syria prison was a regime intel officer, and he's just a total dirtbag too. He's an evil man. So last week, CNN aired a melodramatic report from reporter Clarissa Ward that was supposed to show a CNN crew amazingly rescuing a victim of the Assad regime from the bowels of a Damascus dungeon. And after days of mounting skepticism and pointed questions ricocheting across social media, the alternative news sites and what have you, CNN now says that the rescued man was actually a regime intelligence officer, and there are reports that he himself perpetrated crimes against civilians. The man ID'd himself as Adel Gurbai, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, said he was actually Salama Mohammed Salama, a.k.a. Abu Hamza, an infamous and cruel first lieutenant in Syrian Air Force intelligence. He was involved in theft, extortion, and coercing residents into becoming informants. So, and he was incarcerated because he was in a dispute over the profit sharing from funds that they extorted from another officer. So he was thrown into a cell, and he has a grim history. He's participated in military operations from 2014, killing civilians, and was responsible for detaining and torturing numerous young men in the city without cause or on fabricated charges. Some of them were targeted simply for refusing to pay bribes or rejecting cooperation.
My God, that is the worst type of monster that can run around abusing their communities. The worst type of person, the bully at the playground, stealing your lunch money, punching you in the face, embarrassing you, harming you, psychologically damaging you, threatening you. Yeah, man, this guy.
Yeah, and basically, there's like a team of bullies that goes around, shaking down people, and then they get into a dispute and decide this guy's such a scumbag, we're going to have to throw him in jail, even though they know what he does. But he's such a greedy, sadistic, monster. So, they set up this whole fake thing. The original report from CNN shows Clarissa Ward immediately struck too many as being too dramatic to be genuine. Ward and her cameraman are being escorted through this prison by rebel fighters when they spot a blanket inside of a cell. And after one of the fighters shoots the lock off, they venture inside and nervous so that somehow the gunfire doesn't wake up the guy under the blanket. Oh my God, it's just a blanket, but maybe something's moving.
Do we have this clip?
I don't know.
This sounds insane.
Yeah, look how fake that looks.
Oh, it starts right there.
Right, let's zoom this. So this door right here is to the prison cell, and they had to shoot the lock off. So, but somehow, he just slept through it, sitting under the blanket?
Well, I mean, I could imagine a universe where somebody, I could imagine a universe where if I'm in Syria and everything's been chaos forever, if someone shoots the lock off my home, either I'm ready to defend myself or I have to pretend like I'm not here. Like, I could imagine someone just hiding, but this feels very staged. It feels very staged. I'd love to see the scene where they shoot the lock off. They don't have that on camera?
No, they took that off camera. It's probably too loud or what have you, or, you don't want to damage the camera or the equipment. But yeah, the idea is that if you're going to fire off a gun, it would probably wake up whoever was trying to have a little nap here under this blanket. And they're staging it as they're just finding it. Oh, they rescued this poor man. So let's keep rolling.
I'm a civilian, he says. I'm a civilian.
He's a civilian, but he's in perfect health. Look what he's wearing. Does that look like prison garb? Then they're noticing that his hands are perfectly manicured.
And why aren't they patting him down immediately? You gotta lift those flaps up on the jacket. Where's the padding? That's the very first thing. Checking for firearms, sidearms, something right there.
Yeah. And no, there she is. She's giving him water. This poor guy, escorting him out.
Now he can finally see the sky.
Well, he can finally see the sky, but they're also pointing out that if you were incarcerated that long, you'd be kind of almost blinded by the sun. Being so bright.
Oh, my God, the light, he says. Oh, God, there is light.
Oh, God, there is light. You lying sack of shit. All right, so then they're feeding him, but obviously he's well fed. He's not starving. I'm just zipping through this stuff.
Thank you. Come again.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. That's like Geraldo in the vault with Al Capone.
Well, at least he set that up to that wasn't staged, right? Or was I'm thinking of the glove box.
Well,
because it wasn't staged. They did nothing there. They set everybody up for a disappointment because they were hoping to find something.
Yeah, but what was the glove box? What was that?
Wasn't it? I thought it was also Al Capone's, or it was some high level person. I'm oh my God, we're gonna open this on camera live. And to their credit, it was, but there was nothing in it. So I was oh well, there's a big disappointment.
Yeah.
So yeah, they showed he's well dressed, well fed, well groomed. Doesn't have to adjust his eyes.
And he's a monster.
Yeah, and well, that's when they found out later. But it's not the first time that Clarissa Ward has been involved in staging something. Here's another something she faked being shot at by Hamas to manufacture consent for Gaza. So
Clarissa is on the ground right now. Clarissa, tell us what's happening.
Look at this. She's dramatically like breathing.
Hi, John. So forgive me, I have a slightly unelegant position, but we have just had a massive barrage of rockets coming in here, not too far from us. So we have had to take shelter here.
Wag the dog.
By the roadside, we're just about 5 minutes away. Gaza is in that direction. We can hear now a lot of jets in the sky. We could also hear the Iron Dome intercepting a number of those rockets as they were whizzing overhead and making impact.
Okay, yeah, she's just a raging narcissist. And yeah, so she was busted on that. I thought I had another clip from Jake Tapper.
It reminds me of in Wag the Dog. There is no B-3 bomber. There is no B-3 bomber? There is no B-3 bomber.
Yeah, let's check this out.
Another just absolutely remarkable report. CNN's Clarissa Ward in Damascus. Vital journalism. Thank you so much.
Situation. Oh my God. Jake is so serious. Yes, CNN. What a joke of an outlet. They got to just manufacture that shit. Another embarrassment. I think it's hilarious. Yeah, CNN should just shut their doors in shame.
I mean, it can't be much longer now, right?
Yeah, you think as their audience is continuing to plummet. I mean, yeah, that's another big story. That's just anyway.
All right.
They became the story.
Let's talk about the last two here.
I think there's only one more, or do you have two? Okay.
Well, we shared it on X. Follow Blake, by the way. He's on X at TV's Blake Walley, and follow the new. Oh, sorry, I took it off your screen there. I smell fake news.
Yeah,
that's funny. Smell my finger. I smell fake news. Yeah, follow Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley, and follow the New American Media at American_media_. The final story was, you said, well, this was a long time ago, but it was only recently that the Duke lacrosse accuser admitted that she was lying, and that became so. We'll cover that at the end. It was like a final story, but it's super important.
It covered it. I mean, yeah, it was. Come out later. Yeah, it was devastating and damning, and it destroyed their program and smeared a lot of innocent people. But it became clear that it was staged. But then they finally admitted it years later. So, and
I got a couple clips I can play, but we can do that if Blake's got to run, he can run. But the one we had up here that was still in the stack, Blake, was about Wisconsin. So, do you agree or disagree that it's not important if the school shooter was suffering from gender dysphoria disorder? Agree or disagree that it's not important if the school shooter in Wisconsin was suffering from gender dysphoria disorder?
I am going to disagree. I think it is important to some extent, not because I'm, anti-trans or anything, but it's an interesting part of the story. So there's another school shooting happened in Madison, Wisconsin yesterday. And of course, if it was like a white Republican Trump supporter, this would be, that's all they'd be talking about is gun control. But it appears that the shooter was a troubled young lady, but perhaps, trans or associated with that. Wisconsin's capital city, yes, a 15-year-old girl pulled out a 9mm pistol, shot up her study hall, killing a teacher and a fellow student at the Christian school, before turning the weapon on herself and ending her own life.
This is a stunning number of Christian school attacks. It seems like there's an anti-Christian bias going on. That's what Tennessee was.
Nashville shooter was, yeah. And I mean, there certainly is. So Natalie Rupnow injured 6 others, including 2 students with life-threatening wounds, and a teacher, and 3 other students suffered non-life-threatening injuries in the attack on the Abundant Life Christian School. So Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes wasn't commenting on the motive Monday evening. An unidentified law enforcement source told the AP that the shooter had been dealing with problems and expressed some of those in writings. There were reports that Rupna, who police say like to go by the name Samantha, had penned a manifesto, although Barnes said police had yet to verify the authenticity of the document. So it says the good news is that the Madison police have shared the information with its partners at the FBI. Yeah, you really want to trust them.
Yeah, like the FBI can be trusted for anything. They have completely damaged their brand as much as the former news outlets that turned propaganda when Obama switched the Smith-Mundt Act and made it legal for them to be cranking out Democrat deep state propaganda. I mean, the brand of the FBI, the CIA, there used to be a time when you'd be like, well, yeah, I mean, we need people helping out the country. We need top cops that are going to be out there working for us. And it's like, it's laughable to think that anybody used to think that way. It just feels like it's been so weaponized against normal Americans. It's like the last place you would go to for help would be the FBI.
Yeah, they've lost their credibility for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that manifesto was not released by the Nashville police, and it was a Steven Crowder expose that was able to get some of that released finally. I mean, if there's certain agendas, they will definitely go out of their way to push them, and if there's not, they will get really quiet. Like you saw the Luigi situation, Blake. The left was praising vigilante justice. Thank God this guy was able to take his firearm and end the life of this human being. And then they're silent when there's an attack like this on yet another Christian school carried out by, an attendee of the school. No, now we need to go after guns. Now we need to go after guns, they say. Well, you're not praising this person. Now you're trying to take the weapons away, unless they're out there as vigilantes, or certain vigilantes are okay. It's just, there's no logical balance between how stories are covered. When Trump wins Time Person of the Year, it's like, oh, look, joining the ranks of Hitler and Mao and Stalin, here's Donald Trump on the cover of this magazine. But in 2020, it's like, oh, look at this. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the people of the year, the visionaries, luminaries, as many glowing phrases as possible. Like, so, yeah. Is it important? Is it not important? I think it is important for the mental health of our nation. However you're born, you're loved. You don't need to change yourself any more than someone needs to get a breast enhancement surgery or a penile enlargement surgery. You're not less of a woman or more of a man, depending on what you're strapping into your over-the-shoulder boulder holders or inside your boxers. You can be who you are, and you're loved, and you're fine. The people like Obama and the Democrat Party that are trying to convince you that there's something wrong with you, I'm sorry they're doing that. These people are abusive and they're monsters. You're okay how you are. You're okay, and you can live your life, and you can kind of do your thing. As long as you harm no other people and keep the dudes out of the ladies' locker rooms, we're pretty much kind of cool with whatever at this point. We're sorry that the left has so pushed this division, this hatred, this malice, this resentment into your hearts, because I'm promising you, most people don't care. But you're born how you're born, and don't let the dysphoria of over gender and getting worked up over this or that get in the way. Like, you're loved, you're fine. You can love who you love. You can do your thing. You don't need surgeries and pills and this and that to become real. You're real as you are. That's how you were born. So, it is important, because if there's something going on where it's pushing these communities into thinking that they're being hunted and they're going to try to exterminate us. And, you're back to the cockroaches and the exterminator analogies from the 1930s over in Europe. So, I think it is an important topic, Blake.
Yeah, well, it's an important topic, yes, because they're being radicalized, or if they're getting, these hormones or what have you, or triggering problems, pushing them over the edge, because there seems to be a pattern lately of transgender shooters. So it's sad to see, and there's nothing we can do now but pick up the pieces. But you're saying it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm going to disagree. I think it does matter. Something that is going to have to be addressed. But we don't know. We're still gathering info. But sad, another tragedy.
Absolutely. I got one more here. I just wanted to kind of give you an update on why this was relevant. Let me pull up the video clip here. There she is. Final story. Blake, you didn't have anything else on this one, correct?
Yeah, we knew about it. I mean, yeah, I guess to me, the story is, it's already changed that she lied, but it is important that she did. It's kind of be like if Jussie Smollett, 10 years from now, decided, okay, I'll finally come clean. Yes, I did stage it, the attack on MAGA, and I did do it. I was a bad boy. So it's good that she did, because a lot of these, these narcissist sociopath types, they just project, and they can never accept the blame for things that they did. But she caused a lot of lot of devastation.
Yeah, and it's all wrapped up into this believe all women, all of these fake accusations, just so much of the racial division. I think we are in desperate need of a national apology project. I've talked about this at great lengths on this show in the past couple of years, but I think there is something important. I know people that don't believe apologies matter. Apologies are only for the person that's been the liar. It does nothing to help the person that's been lied to. It's a selfish act. No, I disagree. I think there's something biblical. Maybe if you were raised without that type of bearing in your life, maybe you don't have the understanding, but Christianity is unique, where you can kind of put your hands up and go, hey, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. That's not going into a Catholic booth, but it's just repenting to God and going, hey, I can acknowledge I probably haven't lived a perfect life. If I could objectively observe the way I've behaved, I would be embarrassed for several different things. And it's in that calling for redemption through the truth that we are able to be saved. We can save our souls, and we can try to put our souls back on a course correction towards something good. But you can't get to that without an apology. You can't. The first step in AA is you've got to admit you have a problem. If you don't admit you have a problem, you can't continue. So let me just, Deb is saying, I love Dave Chappelle's act on Jussie Smollett. I love that one. It was epic. All right, but here's Jesse Waters talking about the relevance of why Duke lacrosse matters more now than ever.
They say the truth will set you free, even if you're behind bars. In 2006, stripper Crystal Magnum, not her real name, claimed 3 Duke lacrosse players gang raped her at a house party, and the nation lost its mind. The story became a red-hot racial issue overnight. The media used it as an opportunity to grift along the lines of race, sex, and class, Reed Seligman, Colin Finnerty, and David Evans were arrested, kicked off the team, and had their reps sewered.
And by the way, that's a fantastic way to say that. Where did it go? Yes, national apologies matter. And it's called redemption and reconciliation. Well said, Deb from SAC.
The whole story was a lie. It was like Jussie Smollett on steroids.
Smollett.
And now, 18 years later, the stripper says she made it all up.
I testified falsely against them by saying that they raped me when they didn't.
How dare you?
And that was wrong. And made up a story that wasn't true because I wanted validation from people and not from God. I hope that they can forgive me. And I want them to know that I love them. And they didn't deserve that.
The DA, Mike Knife.
Blake, could you forgive?
I mean, she's got like an 85 IQ. What am I going to say? I mean, it's good on her to, come out and say it. But I mean, yeah, the damage is done. I'm glad she's apologized for it. I mean, she's just shouldn't have been. It's too bad they took that narrative and ran with it. People wanted to believe it.
And it was this type of stuff that was just 2 years before the Obama the Obama doctrine was thrust upon us, and it was just levels of divisive, racist, claptrap, and lies, unlike we'd ever seen. We'd seen glimpses and stuff like this, but Obama took this and just took it next level. All right, he continues.
Knew the case was bunk, knew it, but he pushed it anyway.
Yep,
suppressing evidence that would have cleared the boys.
And that's what they're accusing Liz Cheney of doing, is excluding and deleting exculpatory evidence that would have got Trump acquitted, would have kept people out of the J6 gulags for the past 4 years. It's about Alvin Bragg and Letitia James and Fannie Willis and everybody else who knows that they're pushing lies and they're doing it anyway to ruin Trump's life. There have to be repercussions for this.
But eventually, his house of cards fell apart in court. And as a young pup working on The Factor, I went to Naifang's house in 2007. Caught the guy in the bathrobe.
Can you tell me if you feel bad about prosecuting these players? Will you come on the O'Reilly Factor? I'm leaving. What do you feel about the Duke case now that it's falling apart?
I believe I've said on many occasions to anybody who asks, I spoke about the Duke case only in the courtroom.
He was disbarred for his handling of the case shortly after that
Good.
visit. And then DA Roy Cooper dismissed the case, exonerating the athletes. They sued Duke, who reportedly settled for $20 million. And Crystal's currently in prison for murdering her boyfriend.
Holy.
She's due to be released in February at 26 unless Biden pardons her for Christmas.
Yeah, she's in jail for murder, bro.
Yeah, she's got mental problems. That's too bad. But yeah, they should have known that right away. That whole case should have just fallen apart right there. Why they continued to believe her when she didn't have any credibility. But then it would have been racist. It was just...
Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't have had to serve shouldn't have been indicted. Daniel Penny shouldn't have been indicted. Donald Trump shouldn't have been indicted. These people know what they're doing. They know what lines they're crossing. They know exactly what they're doing. They need to be disbarred and face indictments themselves. I mean, this is deprivation of civil liberty. It's pushing hoaxes. There's all sorts of criminal activity related to this stuff. They knew what they were doing, and they don't get to wash their hands and walk away like, oh, I was just an innocent bystander. It was somebody else. No. You were an active participant, and it's really time for justice. It's time for healing. You can feel the globe healing. You can feel the nation healing. A lot of stuff is kind of coming out in the wash now. A lot of it's been separated, and the junk is rising to the top. It's time to skim off all of the garbage and get back to clean flowing waters again. I know omission of facts is still lying, but like I said earlier, Deb, if I were the press secretary out there about the New Jersey drone, I'd just say, hey, this is new technology, and we're trying to keep our country as safe as possible. Whether we found something, whether we suspect something was out there, whether it's out there or not, I don't know.
There's nothing going on. We might want to just get some potassium iodine pills just in case. Just go over to your local Walgreens and pick some up.
I encourage preparedness.
General prepper, right? Brian's first and last day as the press secretary for the Pentagon.
Yeah, who is Scaramucci? I think he had a week. Dina saying video was edited. What video was edited? I don't know which video. You get when you leave comments, you got to speak in sentences because I don't know what we're referencing. So I don't know what that was, and I was referring to the drones, but I get it, Brian. Okay, right. Yeah. Okay. Omission of facts referring to the drones. Okay, Blake, let's wrap it up here, sir. Tell people about your show tonight, where to follow you.
Yes, I will be back on the air in about 3 hours and 47 minutes for the Toxically Masculine Tuesday with me and Mike Barra and Steve, Trail Boss Steve Doran and Dr. Brooks Agnew, the best round table on the net. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about the drones in detail. Of course, all the other latest news and current events. So stay tuned for that on Mike Barra's channel. You can follow me on Twitter X at TV's Blake Walley, and the archive is on the nextlevelnews.com. Thanks so much, Brian. Thanks, everybody in chat. It's been delightful, as always.
Absolutely. And, of course, if anybody wants to support Blake in his independent journalism, you can go on Cash App, $Blake W99, or at Blake-Walley on Venmo, because we run off of your donations, folks. So thank you so much. Blake, we'll let you go. Enjoy your show tonight. Send my regards to the gentleman. And we will talk again real soon. Thank you again.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. All right,
there he goes, everyone. TV's Blake Walley. Toxically Masculine Tuesday indeed. Okay. Want to take a moment to ask for you to follow the New American Media on Rumble. We are monetized over there, so we appreciate you watching and commenting live. Check out our archive. We've had a lot of shows, and we try to be entertaining. We try to cover all sorts of relevant information and try to weave, I call it a weave, lots of topics into one coherent storyline. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, The Agree to Disagree Show. And we are on X at American_media_. Of course, don't forget our main archive, youtube.com/@thenewamericanmedia. We have a page on Facebook, The New American Media, and a private group, TNAMS, The Agree to Disagree Show, TNAM_S, The Agree to Disagree Show. If you would like to participate in helping fund our endeavors, special thanks to all of you who have. You can do so on patreon.com/thenewamericanmedia. Sign up for like a monthly thing. To the people who are signed up for that, we appreciate you. This is the 100% way that we help fund ourselves. If we can go 100x on the donations, we can go 100x on the content we deliver. So we appreciate everyone there. On PayPal, if you want to shoot something over, that's at Brian Engelman, BrianEngelman. That's at Brian Engelman on Venmo, and on PayPal is at Fuzz Installment, FUZZINSTALLMENT. That's on the screen right there. If you want to make a donation to the hurricane relief efforts, we are linked up with Grizzly. You can send a donation over there. Just put TNAM in the tagline so people know where the donation is coming from. And it goes in to the afflicted areas in North Carolina for Hurricane Helene. Check out our documentary, Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. That's on Rumble and YouTube. If you want to help Grizzly for the holidays, he's Cash App. $Fabled Remedies 1. FABLEDREMEDIES, the number 1. Fabled Remedies 1. So those are a few places that you can check us out and stay connected in the interwebs. Yeah, on Grumble. Yeah, follow us on Grumble. Follow us on Humble or Bumble. Like the music, by the way. I haven't got the music yet. I gotta go up to the P.O. box and do that. Here, let me put P.O. box on my to-do list. Doesn't have Anthrax in there, is it? Because if it is, I don't want it. It's another punch in the face, is it? Because if it is, I don't want it. That was Unky Herb talking to Homer, voiced by Danny DeVito, by the way. But if you had Anthrax on the thumb drive, we like Anthrax, the band. Turn it up, bring the noise. I used to go to the same farmer's market if Scott Ian. Was he the bass player? I don't think he was guitar. Was he guitar? The guy with the long goatee and Anthrax? He used to hang out a few blocks away from my house at the farmer's market. Ran into him multiple times around the cheese section. Fun fact, LA was a weird place. But yes, I do look forward to go getting that thumb drive. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here on the New American Media. We'll be back on Thursday with a whole list full of new insults of suspenseful with the pencil ever since Prince turned himself into a symbol. We'll be back for 2 shows at 3 o'clock Eastern. The Agree to Disagree show will be live, and then followed by the 5 p.m. Strictly Football show with Mike Barra. Mike's on Toxically Masculine Tuesday, coming up at 9 o'clock with Blake Walley and the other guys. And then Mike joins us on a football show for the New American Media's The Unhappy Hour sports show called Strictly Football. That'll be at 5 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. We've done one every week of the year. It's been a lot of fun. So join us in all those places. And until then, special thanks to Blake Walley, Kenneth, Deb from SAC, Dina, everybody else in the chat rooms. We appreciate you. We love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace, everybody. Peace, everybody. Peace, everybody. Peace.